Welcome to the Enlighten podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Enlighten podcast for yet another full moon broadcast. This one is going to be in Sagittarius. And buckle up, because Mary Dusina, who is here with me right now, has perfectly named this full moon theme Truth or Dare. And why is this so perfect? Because truth is very Sagittarius, and it's really asking you to face it, to speak it, to burn the lies that you've maybe perhaps built a life around, maybe even your own spiritual identity. And dare, live like your soul is watching. Step into the timeline you have been avoiding, because this full moon is squaring the nodes, and we are going to get into it. There is no middle ground really with this full moon. Would you say so, Mary?
Oh, this one's, it's got a lot. When we think about greetings, audience, with namaste, hola, gracias, it's Sagittarius, so we're going multicultural here and honoring our ancestors and our lineage and our DNA and our ability to level up. So Sagittarius is the truth. We have a grand fire full moon by the dance of the elements, because we have Saturn and Neptune going into the early parts of our first fire sign, Aries. We have Mars in the second fire sign, Leo. So Leos are under this real high beam, laser, spotlight, illumination dance, be it soul, mind, body. And then we have the energy of the ruler of this full moon of Sagittarius. The ruler, Jupiter, is just sweetly kissing a very nurturing, a very maternal, now let's remember the self-care. Let's remember, how are you mothering you? How are you a lover to you? How are you listening, accepting, implementing your inner child? How are you allowing the direction of ancestral wisdoms, your guardian angels, your highest level of self, your multidimensionality in the I am that I am all that is, and how you're manifesting and creating that? So Sagittarius is the full moon that is the door opening of this lunar cycle that began back 2 weeks ago with the new moon in Gemini. For beginners, every month, you can read about this in farmers' almanacs, your drugstore calendars, online. Each month, when the sun and moon join hands, join frequencies, and they do at every new moon, it's when the sun and moon marry, as the ancient cultures say, and so therefore they are joined in purpose. They are more powerful because of being together. Well, 2 weeks ago, the new moon started this cycle of Gemini and Sagittarius. The dance begins. And so we had that 2 weeks ago, and Gemini is about my voice, what I want to preach, what I want to be taught, how I want to receive, how I want to direct, what does direct me, how are my beliefs, and are they still supporting and serving me well at this crossroads juncture of my life path experience? And who are the people that have motivated me, and who are the scenarios and situations and customs and patterns that this Sagittarius full moon of 2025 embarks a liberation for me to now step forth on. So this is a liberation point. And when there's a lot of fire, the Aries, the Leo, the Sagittarius, And the ruler of this moon being Jupiter, very powerful in Sagittarius, very exalted in the sign of the moon, the mother, Cancer, moonchild. So what's happening is this is a very Jupiterian event. And so allow yourself to have an epiphany or an idea, a light bulb go off over your head with, man, that motivated me. Whoa, I never looked at it quite that way before. Man, I felt keys click and doors open and leashes come off of me. So this is about being able to really stretch your back in the midst of, in the overarching material world dynamic of significant, intimate, and personal and home-based, Cancer the crab, home-based type of energies. Do we choose to live with, or do we want to be alone? Which cycle are we in? High tide, low tide, Gemini, shift, spring season sign before we get to summer solstice, the first day of summer, igniting the cardinal water sign of, oh yeah, Cancer the crab. So this is about how we choose to not be stuck with trying to keep our heads above water of our emotional past, of our childhood. Sagittarius is liberating. Sagittarius is, now that you heard a truth that unlocked you, we all have habits, we all have memories, we all have impact points. Can you now liberate yourself from the old story, the old scenario of how you grew up? It's true, but can you liberate beyond what wounded, what you came in strong with, how it feels to have that healed or felt? And now we embark on, this is epic. And this timeline goes back to the late December 2020 year of when Saturn and Jupiter aligned. So, and that was in Aquarius. So it's about epic shakeups and crisis in order to affect a much better change overall. But there are points where you have to let go of the old story, and there's points where we have to take that pregnant pause and say, you know what, it feels like it's time, but I just don't have all the details. But I just need to set my soul sights as my director, connect with the best of the heaven and the earth, and have my fuel of faith. And if my beliefs have served me to this point, and now they shift into another compass that brings up the highest, best part of my soul attributes that I long to be one with, this full moon, the Ascended Master's Moon, number 3 of the trilogy of 2025. First being the full moon of Libra, second being the Visak Buddhic moon in May of that full moon in Scorpio, and this, where all the Ascended Masters, the best of the best, the paranormal, the supernatural, the instantaneous psychic surgeries and miraculous healings, and the ability to release and trust the biggest picture of the soul win and the goal lines and the faith in that. That's what's going on with this full moon. And it favors, even though it squares the nodes, it calls to attention the first 4 signs that say 10 hut is Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. These are the signs that are put on center stage right now, that your longings have been listened to. These parts of our chart are lit up. The mutable signs lit up. Those elements are all lit up. Again, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, until we come to the summer solstice of 2025 over June 20th. We're starting to see the embrace of the higher forces that love us, that help us to rise above the chaos of social media and being influenced by words in a nefarious way, the sinister side, if you will, if we choose to stay asleep of the Gemini aspect. Gemini being Hermes, the winged messenger of the Greek gods that we studied, or Gemini the trickster, or Gemini the seducer, or Gemini the silver-tongued devil. And that can be going on in our own thoughts. So this is the time of the year, as the great wheel turns, Gemini, the sun being in Gemini, is saying to us, how you doing with those things you believe in and what you find is a really nice solar light on your pathway? It lights the darkness for you. How you doing with that? Are you happy? Are you content? Are you longing? Taking a pause? taking a little, I don't want to study anything right now. I just want to feel. Hope that's all good and going flowing for you. But it's Gemini and it's Sagittarius time. We just need to take a little look at that, see where you're at. Because we've got so many wonderful things ahead of you if you can just keep evolving and being empowered and trusting in what's right in front of you and ahead rather than just being so absorbed in the past.
Yes. And I think too, with Jupiter finally moving into Cancer, Jupiter was, doesn't operate at its best in Gemini. And so with Jupiter now at the 0 degrees of Cancer, this is kind of like the celestial midwife entering the womb, right? Cancer. And this is a very 0 degrees. It's a critical birthing point of emotional security. It's a critical birthing point of our ancestral memory and our soul nourishment, how we take care of our inner world. And this is not about necessarily going for success. This is about really looking at your deeper emotional needs and wants. And so now that Jupiter has, for this full moon has moved out of Gemini and into Cancer and is operating at the 0 degrees, this is about saying like you can no longer expand through your logic, your goals, maybe even external validation. Its expansion wants you to drop into that emotional matrix and make peace with perhaps your origin wound. And so instead of like mental overdrive and spiritual bypassing, this is more about somatic truth, emotional congruence, and psychic boundaries. So I agree with you, Mary. You hit it on the nose. This full moon is definitely could be bringing up big inner child activations, grief purges, realizations about where your emotional needs maybe got eclipsed by maybe your pursuit for purpose or success or anything of that nature. But it's really calling us home, right? Jupiter's really calling us home and really asking us to look at what are your bigger beliefs and how do you look beyond the horizons and what's the bigger picture looking like here, but really wanting you to do so from more of feelings and less thought.
That is such a well-worded gold star Gemini verbiage that you just chose in that 3-minute segment before we got to here. I was just dancing along with them. Yeah, Nicole. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the somatic. That's right. The emotions of the Cancer. I'm like, just like the audience. I'm like, yeah, get it, get it, get it. Stallions running, happy in the field. Sagittarius, horsepower. That was really well done. So I would suggest you guys back that up on YouTube. My little part of being a little light teacher and always a forever student, back that up. And when Nicole started talking, get real ready to take a photograph with your soul and let your mind go there when she talks about it's not just the mental, it's not just the cheap talk, it's not just the gamble. You're not just at the casino of your consciousness. This is more about soul sovereignty. And when anything starts to shift, whether it's a long-term planetary transit or short-term each month when the moon pops through the 2.5 days of being in the sign of Aries. Aries is you. Aries is I am. And so now Saturn and Neptune, Nicole speaking about Jupiter and Cancer, now we have Saturn and Neptune agreeing, joining forces with in the sign of, well, I'm Saturn, and so I have to do with implementing limits and, giving them those all-important wake-up calls. And I got to be stern sometimes. God, I would love to teach them healthy boundaries and not just let them disassociate or enable or be enabled or be in abuse. So Saturn's like trying to find the way to cut the chase and shorten your agony and sometimes a little bit of the ecstasy that you experience in intensity. Saturn is about, but is it good for you overall? Mm-hmm. Enjoy the moment, light your fires, but don't get trapped by maybe unreasonable leashes or expectations on another job or another person, or just doing it the way your parents did it. Or, by God, my parents weren't there for me, so I'm going to do it opposite of them. That might not be the answer to go a full 180 degrees either. So this is about Neptune and Saturn. Neptune is our ability to get answers in an all new Aries, pioneer, first time, right time, right place. Neptune and Aries now is saying, when the quiet happens, your dreams, your
Yeah,
dreams start speaking.
what I love about this particular, Saturn, Jupiter, and also Jupiter Neptune square is
Yep.
that, well, before Jupiter was in Gemini, right? And so it did not operate well. And Saturn and obviously Neptune do very well in Pisces. But now Saturn's in Aries, doesn't really like Aries as much as it does Pisces. And Jupiter loves Cancer. So, you've got it exalted and it's operating better. So I think one of the things here too is important to when because this Jupiter Saturn square is closing and this Jupiter Neptune square is closing as we have this full moon in Sagittarius, but you guys will feel the Saturnian square on the 15th and the Neptune square on the 19th. And this is kind of like cracking under the weight of dueling timelines, right? One based with Jupiter and Cancer on your soul integrity, and the other perhaps maybe based on egoic construction and spiritual fantasy, which is all kind of wrapped up in your own identity in Aries. So, this square, at least for Jupiter Saturn, could be really saying to you, you can't build your next chapter using the bones of your old self, right? And Jupiter's wanting you to heal something here that could be very deeply ancestral, inner child, something that could have even occurred within like the womb space. And so it could be that many of you guys are experiencing like a crisis of authority, whether it's internally or externally, about who gets to define your path. Is it the shoulds of like maybe Saturnian authorities of like what the world wants, or are you like really taking your own sovereignty back and really taking responsibility for your own spiritual path? Or also with Jupiter coming up, there's a big soul pull with it being in Cancer. So there is like this ancestral template demolition perhaps on the horizon for some of us, where anywhere that you've been perhaps forcing your life to fit into some kind of mold based on approval or tradition or some kind of linear security, it will feel like a spiritual chokehold at this coming up square. And with Jupiter and Neptune also coming into its square, it's really about deconstructing the delusion that some of us have. I think a lot of us can get attached to some of our own spiritual identities, and that meaning like the trauma identities, right? So this is like kind of an initiation of spiritual selfhood, where you might be even experiencing a faith detox, where you've been spiritually bypassing in pain, like bypassing your name, not your name, your pain in the name of higher vibes, like how sometimes like, oh, I just want to be around high vibe people all the time, And so this is kind of they say you can't bypass that stuff right now. And, or even where you may have even like gaslit your own emotional truth just to maintain some sort of fantasy of spiritual progress. Like I know, hey, I've been guilty of that in my past, like so many of us do that. So this is kind of, this square is also dissolving any kind of illusions about our own personal mythos, in the end, that kind of fantasy version of yourself that you might think you're living by, but really right now you're being demanded to meet your raw self where your soul actually lives in the womb, in the roots, in that ache and pain, and really meet it there honestly and truthfully.
Yeah, it's like shedding the costume. It's like the persona, the archetype, if you will, in the psychological metaphysical community. What is the current archetype that you're traveling in?
Yeah.
Soul traveler. So the archetype or the costume, again, a consciousness costume. It's okay to have our armors of light, our workable, healthy, mental, emotional, somatic, psychological, sacred shields, and our ability to have the intentions instead of weapons, the intentions and the aspirations and the requisition for tools of spirit. And so this kind of cycle with the dance going on is a big dance in the elements that's going on right now. And when I was doing some work in April, and I first glanced at just prior to summer solstice of this year, I'm like, whoa, I'm really liking that full moon on the 10th, 11th. That's I just love that ascended master's moon, because usually one of those three will be the big deal of spring. It'll be other astrological little arrows will be flying around in the heavens all around it. You can catch a ride or choose a magic carpet. Either way, you're going to be going in some consciousness. But when I looked at the 9 days from like late night June 14th, depending on your time zone, into June 15th, all the way in to right before that new moon on June 25th. So I think the heat is on, so to speak, the truth or dare, step over that line. What are you confident enough to be able to say, that was a workable chapter in my life. Those were some grand teachers. I was often a stubborn student, but I got it. And even though their lives are moving on, my lives are moving on. It's another soul journey. It's another crossroads. I will always remember every single soul star living and above me and below me and within me and without, that was a spark of inspiration, a seed of a validation of my strengths. And so this is about, when we talk about honoring ancestors, it's really about, there are these timelines that come along astrologically too, like Jupiter likes being in the sign of the moon, Cancer, and the last time Jupiter was dancing in that would have been about 12 years ago. So kind of go back in time where there's some really soul and personal satisfying beginnings that started to happen for you, even if it was something that you had a big realization on within your own self and your own life choices and your ability. Sometimes it's our ability to shut it down and walk away and say, I really feel the best has been served here. Gotta go. Gotta move. Something's got to shift. And I think that 2012, the 2013 dialogue, where there was almost like a little bit of a global thing of like, oh my God, the end of the Mayan calendar, and when you really took it deeper and studied with Mayan experts, certainly I'm not, it was like, no, it was the end of the long count calendar and everything was going to shift into a whole new realm and subdivision of multifaceted wisdoms and worlds. I'm like, oh, okay, check. Yeah, that's a big difference. So we're now in this, do not be ensnared. Biblically, they use terms like, which are really ancient, but I kind of like some of those traditions. They use words like, work on that stronghold in your mind. And when you study that, it's like, okay, somehow that thought, that scary clown, that fear, that anger, if it's self-destructive in any way, somehow my ego, my willpower got entwined with that. And I just need to kind of both have a little talk with them. It's just like, oh, it doesn't just have to be this way forever. And I think that we're going to get from back in 2012, 2013, a graduation with this 9 days that I'm talking about between June 15th, when Mars coming into an Antarctic degree up right knocking at the door at 29 degrees in the sign of Leo will square Uranus. That 28, 29 degrees starts on June 15th. And I promise you, when Mars, the actions that we take, the actions that others or things throw at us, the action that happens, it's like when the director goes, action, quiet on the set. The dynamic's going to happen. When Mars, which rules the directed energy, squares off with, gets into some kind, now wait a minute, hold on now, pump your brakes, with Uranus, which is ready for revolution. And I'm tired of the same old stories. My God, you've talked it to death. Let's do something about it. Got to take an action. So that can get with Mars in a spirited moment, wanting to join on that action, and they're going to square off in Leo Taurus. So the Taurus thing right now is Venus is softening it a bit for Taurus because she came home. Venus is luxuriously at peace and blesses our desires and our fires when she gets into the sign of Taurus and when she gets in the sign of Libra. So she's happy in the energy of Taurus right now, and it's about an expansion and a heightening of our senses, and also how sensations, somatic again, emotional, the feeling level, how sometimes the sensation of something kind of puts the dot at the end of the exclamation point instead, or the period at the end of the sentence, but certainly not a comma or a semicolon. It's like, this is you. This is good for you. You've proved this now. You can level up. You can move on. You graduated. So and it's more psychically, Nicole, it's more intuitively that I really feel like it's not a reckoning for anybody to get nervous, tense, or scared of. We may witness in the external movie screen, we may witness some kind of like, oh snap, things that are seem to be like all being tossed about like a hailstorm out there in the news. It's like, yeah, okay, enjoy your ride. For the people that need trauma. But what's really going inside of us is that there is an ability to have the sense heightening of looking at it and seeing far beyond the picture that they would like to paint. So third eye stuff, let thine eye be single, deal with the strongholds in your mind. Do not allow others, that's that Taurus strength, do not allow another to bully you, Taurus, to bully you, to push you to see it only their way or do it only their way. That's what we all witnessed back in 2020. Doesn't matter what you thought, who was right, who was wrong, where you stood. It got us to stand firm on a choice that we were going to make when it came between we the people and our rights and the governments of all over the world. It's like, wait, what kind of standstill? Hey, what? So the bull in us, trust me when I tell you this, got awakened. Even though Saturn and Jupiter squared in Aquarius, this is the first open square of Jupiter, Cancer, and Saturn in Aries. So now they've got a square to each other. Aries is you. I am what I identify with that's important to me and the fire of my soul and my goals, aspirations, inspirations, integrity, what we'll stand for and what we will stand against. Now it's got to do with a wisdom bloom, and it's got to do with this is where I stand for the good of all as well as my higher self. No one is going to bully me into taking sides. What's important with my Aries and my ability to be a nurturer and to nurture and allow that for myself and receive prosperity in a multitude of divisions and manifestations is that I allow progressive consciousness, knowing that I am always in a hallowed protection because I'm letting spirit lead. That's the fire element of this, I feel, and I believe we're going to see that graduation cap and gown, throw it up in the air going, yeehaw, let's get busy between the 15th and the 24th of this month. So as we're going toward the next lunar cycle of the new moon in the sign of Cancer, in the sign that rules the moon, that's where we have a softening, and that's where we have a settling, and that's where we have, yeah, life is good. On the new moon that comes up in the moon sign of Cancer, when we get to that 24th, the balsamic moon into the 25th, the new moon in Cancer. So I feel the most dynamic part of this month of June is that square and what we choose to put to rest, move on from, acknowledge we can agree to disagree, or, hey, wow, who knew that we would agree on it? Thanks for the extra, pat on the back and team player that we can be when we choose to be team players. It's a good thing, and when we don't, it's okay. You're on my team. I'm just not gonna do it just that way, just my way or just your way. So we're good. So it has to do with allowing. Sagittarius is real big on its freedom and the liberation. So this Sagittarius energy is saying to us, and do you feel with this Mercury sextiling Venus, Jupiter coming into a comfort zone in Cancer, your ideals. So not just thoughts, not just those verbal arrows that can lead us here, there, everywhere, back, forwards, and beyond, and within, I hope. So this has to do with, are the ideals or what you feel is fair or justice pulling at your heartstrings? That's what this full moon is generating. What seems to want to be not something that has to be a struggle. Not the only way that you can learn is through pain and loss and shock and awe in a way that you feel things were taken from you. But this moon is reminding us that as we shift our perspective to the passion of our purpose, keeping our eye on the long-range view of our purpose, there will be ups and downs. There will be slowdowns. There will be points to where you go, did I have my wits about me when I decided that this was going to be the thing that I was going to prioritize? So this full moon in Sagittarius is saying to us, I'm allowing you to see with your own higher self and all the arrows of passion and purpose and soul and light and ancestral and karmic and belief and idealism and humanitarian and heavenly priorities. I'm allowing you to see that you can manifest. You can really manifest something that's always haunted or taunted you to be finally done, and you won't even give it the power of getting stuck in the story of what was that and why did that have to hit me so hard in my life. It was an attention getter, not downplaying any of our pain, but I am applauding our strength and how we rise above that being the main thing we define ourselves because of or as. And that's what Sagittarius is liberating us with, that we will take the best of our predators or prodigious situations that went on when we had the rug pulled out from under us and all that. Now we turned that when somebody tried to make us fall or trip by pulling a rug out from under our feet. Now the rug turns around and go, oh, no, you didn't. And it becomes the magic carpet that we ride on because we held the line. We are strong. We are faith. We did choose light. So Sagittarius, remember, it's the third fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
So Sagittarius is, I am the light of the stars. I am the heavenly shine. I'm the rainbow. I activate frequency and color. And Sagittarius is like, dance, sing. You know, look around you at what you've chosen to make a purchase or a priority in your life, and you wanted it in your home, Cancer. You wanted to feel the sensual softness and luxury of your favorite blanket, couch, chair, whatever, Taurus. So it's about just take a moment, shut that other distraction down, and be in the soft moment of your home, that car, that moment, that sunset, that person. Just let even your material things. Venus in Taurus, being in a wonderful dance with the planets in the sign of Cancer right now, is saying you deserve good things, you do good things, you are a good person, and you also can receive. So it's that reciprocity. It's that ability for us to build our faith in the sense of it isn't always a struggle. I don't always have to be working so hard to overcome. I have supernaturally empowered divine DNA. I'm the daughter or the son. I'm the child of the I am that I am, all that is. I am at one with the light. That's the DNA of our, not just our intelligence. That's the DNA of our soul's priority purpose. And every time we start at the top and say, oh yeah, that, look, I want that to come top down. Yeah, I want that truth and those visions and those dreams and that feeling in my gut when I'm around this or that. Yeah, I like that because you know what? When I look back, Cancer's also learning from the past. When I look back, that served me real good. That served me real good. That's one of the areas of my life, my personality, and how I walk forward or walk away from. That's what makes that final answer kind of a thing. Like when they do whatever, I forget the name of that game show, but they'll say final answer. I mean, you can phone a friend or you've got one cheat or whatever it is, but then the host goes, final answer. They have to say final answer. And it's just like, boom, you either win it or you don't. It's all or nothing. And that's kind of like truth or dare. Do you divinely dare yourself to really embrace the truth that you always have been, the truth that you always can represent, the truth that you always can have as your choice and consequences, rather than, although helpful, an archetypal costume or a personality mask that was also going on in 2020, and emulating those people that have been really great psychological and spiritual stimulants in our life. Love that. But this is about knowing that you bless them and all that. But what about the divine pattern that you are, that everything that we've experienced in whatever incarnation in this life has been a reference point, but you also were, are, always will be on some kind of sometimes hard to define. People just finally say, well, this is what I believe, but some type of dynamic supernatural phenomena of incredible, astonishing options that we have, each of us, when we say what we are going to prioritize and what we're going to connect to. And Sagittarius says that. So whether I am enriched and empowered as I am and as I always have been in this particular lifetime by First Nations cultures, all that I was taught, learned, and did ceremony with the medicine wheel, how that gave me an oddity at the time to do the medicine wheel the way I do astrological charts, the directions. You know, you learn in astrology, the main houses are 1, 4, 7, 10. And in the medicine wheel, in the great turning of the healing medicine wheel options and choices that we have, the ascendant is the east. And so it's the sunrise. And our descendant, our seventh house, is the west, is the descendant, who we are in a significant other contractual energy bond with. So that's why you want to learn your signs on your houses and your own personal star map, because then you start to see your own personal medicine wheel, and your ascendant, like we know in astrology, is where the most unique individualistic part of you, when the sun hits that ascendant point each year, it's your big solar mystical, not, it's not limited to solar, it's your big mystical, it's the phoenix rising. That's why they call it a solar return when we celebrate our Earth birthdays. That's the degree of when the sun hits the day that you were born. That's when you were born. That's where the sun was in whatever sign that you are. So your ascendant is like the front door saying, yes, I embrace the light. So the Cancerian, Sagittarian, Gemini, the last sign of the season of spring, or the I am beginnings, ready to shift into the inner child, the vivaciousness of our child self, the absolute intuitive power that we have of our inner child always and forever, that ignites on June 20th of this year. And we're going to get to have the wherewithal to say, wow, I want to know, and I'm going to allow, and I do receive divine assistance on absolutely, once again in this lifetime, having my unfettered inner child to be my teacher for the next 30 days while the new moon and the sun's moving, like June 25th, June 20th at summer solstice, we start that sign. I'm going to allow the wisdom of the truth and integrity and authenticity of my inner self connected with earth and heaven as this body temple advances in time and age. I'm never going to deny my inner child, but I also will be that spiritual parent to be able to say, wait, bit too impatient. Yeah, it's not going to happen right away. There's some more pieces of the puzzle, and the bigger, again, the larger view that we just want you to see. No, it's not a punishment. Yeah, you're going to have to develop the ability to trust and receive.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where we are. That's
Yeah.
where we are. Yep.
And I think too, with the bending of the nodes here on this full moon, one of the things that's also coming up for you guys is this ending this path or loop that is constantly, like Mary said, like wanting to be busy, wanting to fix things, wanting to prove or improve, or, like all of those Virgo qualities that, are the shadow side, so to speak, the things that are outdated for you that just aren't working, because the North Node being in Pisces, it's like, okay, with this full moon in Sagittarius really lighting up our truth and where do we bring our freedom and what liberates us, really it's about trust and leaning into surrender and being able to dissolve perhaps a lot of the rules that you maybe live by on the daily that aren't so good for you. Like it's these routines that aren't really good for you. And so that is kind of coming up where there is, anytime we have a nodal impact on our moons, it is absolutely like a timeline shift. So there is something coming up here. I think too, Mary, when you said earlier, going back to this idea of truth or dare, you're like, dare yourself to live like your soul's path, like really like marrying like heart and soul together for the choices that you're making. But also, if you don't dare, then you're basically daring the universe to rip the rug from right out under you, like so that you are forced to kind of do that. And so I think with Jupiter in Cancer, it's a nice blessing with this full moon that gives us some grace to really lean inwards, to really lean into our intuition, to go into our feelings for the answers, and to trust, even when things aren't so clear, because Gemini really wants us to have all the details. But this full moon is saying, can you trust the bigger picture? Can you lean into to all of that? And that's important with this full moon.
Well, and Taurus slows things down. Let's face it. I mean, Uranus is going to go into, does the dance in Gemini, and it's been in Taurus for a long time, and the sun is in Gemini right now. So we've got this discernment. Discernment can be the best tool out of your spiritual, your psychological, and your intuitive and willpower toolbox. Discernment is like, I need to take a pause, and is it still a priority value for me? Is it, do I love it? Is it love, or is it just a lifestyle? So Taurus is like, it's your ability to sense things. Like you're a radar, sometimes we send signals, and sometimes we have a satellite dish and we receive them. And there's a different feeling to both. They're both very active, but it's like electric magnetic. It's just, am I downloading this, or am I going to delete this, kind of a thing? So, oh, that's a deleted file now. Been there, done that, served me well, didn't like it, but bye now. So this is about, Taurus slows it all down, but it also slows it down for the senses having maximum impact to help you turn not just a page, but to be able to finish one chapter, take the best of that chapter. Yeah, take the best of that farewell, goodbye, Auf Wiedersehen, and be able to know that, wow, everybody got a lesson out of that. That was an important teaching. And now because of that in my life walk, and because I once again am pausing to realize that I am the child, I am a forever sovereign soul, and I'm also a child, whatever, whomever, however it created this life force in my earth temple. That much I don't have all the answers to, but I know it and I feel it, and I've watched things die and I've watched things born. So there's something that animates that life form, all in Mother Earth. So I want to praise and speak of grace, as Nicole said. I accept the grace of the sovereignty of sacredness. I think our choice mystically might be, yes, I choose the higher. Yes, I will listen to those sensations and feelings that I get of like, yeah, you could do that, but you should not do that. Now take a minute, even though I know you want it. Take a minute. Yep, you're probably going to get away with it. Take a minute. What's going to be the fallout? Is somebody else going to pay for that loss, or what you took becomes a loss for them? Take a minute. Do you just need to have an experience this lifetime to where you got away with stealing something, or nobody saw it, and all of that? And then maybe sometimes we need the lesson of, and even though we got away with it, even though our intuition is going, no, 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 even though we got away with it and we took the dare, the truth then comes of, now how do you feel about that? And what action, Mars, what action you took to take that thing? Does it feel honorable? How are you doing with that? Are you making excuses for that? Versus how it feels when something came to you in a really clean way. Mm-hmm. Because that truth or dare can be, like somebody that literally just had some kind of surgical procedure on their ankle or the foot, and somebody says, no, go ahead, let's go on the roller coaster. It'll be great. It might be and it might not. Go ahead, try to stand up today because you had too many fears. Might work out well, might not. So there's you got to also use divine discernment in what's going to dare you to take Mars in action.
Yes. And feel good about it, because Mars and Leo is like, I want to feel good about what I'm doing, right? Like
That's right.
I want to feel proud. Yeah. And so I think it's about really kind of okay, really aligning these actions that you're taking that you feel proud about, and that are really honoring your truth, honoring the bigger picture of what you see for yourself, what's beyond the horizon. And also I want to say too, one of the nice things about the Jupiter square Saturn is that it's really challenging you to look at your own authority and saying whose rules have I really been following? Are these really my rules? Do they really align with me? Does this align with who I'm expanding myself to become? Or is it time to maybe make some new rules that really are more aligned with who I am, my truth, my authenticity? And so I think some of that coming up with the Jupiter square Saturn is nice for this full moon, especially one that is illuminating truth, is illuminating more of your freedom, is illuminating things that are going to help you grow and expand and learn at a much higher level. So again, spiritual development, spiritual freedom here coming up, where the square in Saturn is really, it's all these squares, like as sometimes, yeah, they come across as challenges, but really it's just because change is necessary for you right now.
Yeah.
And
Motivating, motivating.
yeah, and it's changing because there's a better way. And whatever way you're doing it now, it's outdated. And so these come up to challenge you to step into a new way that is more up to date with who you really are and what your dreams are and where you really want to be heading. So changing your perspective on the squares is can be very powerful and very empowering when you're looking at this full moon.
You know, looking at the unencumbered self, you know, with it's for beginners, which I strongly suggest you do this. For beginners, if Mars is action and Mars is in Leo, and for mystics, the opposite or polarity of Leo is Aquarius. Pluto went into Aquarius at the beginning part of this year, so by sign, not by mathematical degree always, but by sign, the time that Mars is in Leo right now won't come around again, won't come around again for 2 years. So on June 17th, Mars goes into Virgo. And so as it goes into the practicality, let's take a middle road on this. We've got to now lay the foundation. It's an earth sign. We've got to now be dutiful and have discipline and do these necessary steps. So Mars in Leo right now is heart, it's heart chakra, it's my desire. It's like you grant a different fire in me in my life, and it makes you want to make beautiful things and have beautiful things. And I want our home to be cushy and soft for both of us, with both of our perspectives of what feels like, when I come into my personal vortex. And so Taurus and Cancer is going to help us with that. It's going to help that little extra money or job manifest where we can go, yep, I can buy it. You know, yippee! That's a nice feeling too. So there's this positive, passionate celestial weather forecast. It's like, yep, that electricity of finding that really good bargain is out there. And that bargain's not hurting anybody else. You know, you walked into a shop and it was $40 the other day and it's your size and it's $11 today. Get it. Get it. You wouldn't have paid $40, $45, or $185, but it's $11. Get it. Try it. So it's got, and the full moon at 20 degrees, that's a feminine degree. You know, if you look at numerology, 1 is the magician in the tarot, and it has to do with full yang. He has all 4 elements, the wands, the fire, the swords, the air. We're in Gemini now. Air, voice, thought, meditation. When we get quiet, when we allow the quiet, our dreams start speaking. So when Nicole mentioned in the first segment of the show about this full moon, kind of like does a little electric prod to the Pisces North Node and her balance opposite, the South Node in Virgo, it's probably going to give a reprieve and a bit of a break to you Pisces and Virgos if you've been a little OCD or ADD or like, man, I can't sleep simply because why the heck can't I shut my mind off? Well, that Gemini surge is the mind, and if you don't feel fully confident that the truth that you've been pledging allegiance to, that you've been honoring, that you were told to do or else is simply okay for them, but just not working for you anymore, start to examine orbiting options. That's Sag.
Yes, very, very important. Well said. I totally agree with you. And so, like, before we get into all signs, is there anything that you really want to wrap up with this particular full moon? Like, really let people know, like, what are the key aspects that they should be looking out for, or focusing on?
Sagittarius, the truth is. The truth is always the truth. No matter what side we take, truth is. So Sagittarius is like, I'm just asking you to mentally, with your ego and your willpower, with the sacredness of your soul, I would like to suggest, I'm not ordering you, I'm not bullying you, I would like to suggest, under this Ascended Master's full moon, if you would just allow the visions, the guidance, the discernment, the upload, download of the truth in your life. You don't have to form an opinion on it. You don't have to go left or right, up or down. Will you just get in a neutral zone and allow the divine to dance the truth in your life? And everything, the external may be exactly as you're seeing it, but the truth bomb, if you will. I don't really like using that word. The truth bell might be that it's something that you're able to finally see and accept about yourself and go, dang, that's good. But it's you to you. You know, it's soul star to mind self and what you give the pledges to. You know, well, I believe like this and I like that and I've always thought this. And the Gemini Sag dance together is when you sit in that rocking chair, when you're laying on that beach, when you're up in a hot air balloon, when you're on a jet with somebody. It's when you're in that campfire or that ceremony with other people, and people are simply get finally into a comfortable zone of being able to speak their truth, not being afraid of judgment, not being afraid of fitting in, and finally being able just to put the life breath, the voice externally, even if it's a whisper, of what it is that's been orbiting inside of themselves. So it's about kind of peeling the layers of the garlic or the onion. You're going to get into that really strong dynamic. Ain't no mistake I'm an onion, and no mistake that I'm garlic. Manja manja. So this is about we're the garlic, we're the onion. None of it is evil or bad. It's about what you're going to be shown to yourself is, are you able to let the mirror speak? Don't you judge you. I knew it. You don't have to know it. What about if the truth that you allow to come in is something that you didn't ever hear or you didn't ever know was even an option, and the truth says it to you, and all of a sudden the light comes on. You're like, oh my God, yes, I feel that. I do remember that. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Take a bow. You know, take a bow. We can take a bow with ourselves if we'll allow our soul center stage to be able to have only the influences and the actors and the actresses and the action quiet on the set be the divinity of the divine. I mean, this divine alignment. You know, it's tune-up time. It's tune-up time. Divine alignment. The mechanics of Sagittarius, how the gears and the things work in motion, and the fluids and the electrical all work together, just like in a car. It's like Sagittarius kind of has us look at the vehicle of the mind and the acceleration and the ignition of our will and the fire of our passion and our purpose. That's Sagittarius. So it's about what truth do you want now, and maybe it just needs to be refreshed, as Nicole spoke about. You know, maybe something is now outdated. It was a success. It was a win. It did serve a purpose. It's that same energy wanting to enter your life again.
Yes.
That's probably how I'd wrap it up.
Yeah. Upgraded. So,
absolutely.
Okay. So why don't we jump into all signs?
Yes. So Aries, of course, your celestial governor is Mars. So it's first very fortunate if you're in Aries, with the intensity of Saturn and Neptune going in your sign. And I think Eris and Chiron too are in Aries. So there's like this discord and maybe even learning things through stress. But Mars and Leo is saying, well, you got this. You so what if somebody challenges you? So what if they think they do it better? If you get in the damn race, pick up the bat. Here's a glove. I'll go with you. So there's this dynamic happening around the air. And Pluto and Aquarius isn't against you either. So this whole Aquarius, Leo, Sagittarian full moon dance right now is you're the candle and you're lit. You know, it's that kind of a thing. So, and even at the beginning of June, when Chiron, with Venus hit Chiron, and it was like old wounds around self-worth, maybe some anxiety, fighting with the wisdom of your yin or your feminine or your magnetic self. Like that first week of June might have been some type of heightened like burnout, maybe fatigue, or I can't go to sleep, or I'm better when I'm busy. That could have been around you, Aries. But I feel like that as Mars leaves Leo, which is your fifth house, and enters Virgo at mid-June, there was right after that square as it goes on June 17th. It's going to shift your energy from just where is the pleasure, where's the fun in my life, how can I add panache and pizzazz to my work, my health, my routines? How can I be self-motivating? I feel like when you get to the new moon in Cancer, even though it challenges Aries, even though it's called a square, it's going to gift you fresh emotional starts. through your home, through people that say, I got you, the people who have over time had your back. So with Jupiter going into your fourth house, as it did on June 9th, is it a big part of this full moon here on June 11th, because it's ruled by Jupiter. So the whole thing about Jupiter doing any kind of dance during this full moon ruled by Jupiter is big medicine. So there could be a family blessing. There could be some talk, discussion, possibility thinking around real estate growth or something to do with land or what's going to be changed about some property. But I definitely see some emotional restoration. Saturn can be stern in our signs, and it's in Aries. Saturn can be a stern, somewhat stoic type of teacher, kind of a Scrooge sometimes, but it's the opposite in a sense of how things can dance into our life or be held up, the accelerator versus the brake. So Jupiter can be an accelerator, or Mars and Saturn can be the brakes. And so this is a full moon that says, don't go online and think that it's going to be crappy for Aries the next 2.5 to 3 years while Saturn's in your sign. Oh my God, oh my God. Instead, it only happens once every 30 years. So go back, Aries, the 29, 30 years back from 2025 and see if there's anything that seems to jump out at you. Because that's big for Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer this whole year, the next couple of years. If you're a Taurus, this is a focus. Venus is in your sign, so you don't even have to make the effort, but it is a good time to look at your image and your appearance and see if there's anything that you would like to change about cut or color or skin products or teeth or overall how you essential oils or how you present yourself. I mean, there's something about what would I like to do for me that would be nice for me with wardrobe or my personal appeal. So it has to do with, it's okay, Taurus, if you're looking at, you know what, I'm going to cut my hair. You know what, I'm going to buy that shampoo that has biotin in it. You know what, I'm going to take vitamin D. I'm not going to do anything to extremes either way, but I'm going to test out that natural product or adding this supplement. So it's good, Taurus, if you're listening to your intuition to do with self-magnetism and self-empowerment. So Venus shifting into Taurus on June 6th does put you in a nice position, sometimes a rare position of charm and stability. And charm as an energy is very lively. It's invigorating. So there's charm around you, Taurus, whether you know it or not. When Venus travels through each one of the 12 signs, whatever sign it's in, Venus blesses it with like a little bonk of a magic wand that you are charming, even if you tripped over your words or felt like you stumbled. Somehow you're going to come across as charming when Venus is in your sign, especially when she's in Taurus Libra, because she's happy there. So she'll flirt with life more, and she will invigorate, treasured moments and laughter, at the picnic or at the bar. So she's about, let's make memories. Let's have some enhanced, how good does it feel to be with this group at this place and feel this darn good? Nice. So she's wanting, Venus and Taurus is saying, make that moment for yourself, allow that moment for yourself. Doesn't have to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Allow the moment for yourself to where it's just like, my favorite food is, my comfort food is. Taurus is very material. It's like the good meal, the grandmother's secret recipe. Go see the movie Noni's, with the grandmother's cooking. So there's on Netflix. There's this energy with Jupiter and Mercury elevating your third house as they move into the sign of the moon in Cancer. And so any kind of community dynamic, short trips or brother-sister patterns finally healing or just not being an issue anymore because door opens, door closes. And so there's emotional, I think what I intuitively feel the most for Taurus is there's a lot of the stimulus pen is the emotional invigoration. This is emotionally charged time for Taurus to bear witness. Don't even have to form an opinion, Taurus, to bear witness to how interesting and curious it is when these soft or wonderful moments flow into your life. You've had 7, maybe 7.5 years of the planet of revolt and radical, and which way did they go? Which way do I go? Do I go, or do I stay, or do I stop? Is it red light, green light with Uranus in the sign of Taurus? And so if you're a Taurus or a Scorpio, and you look back to 7 years ago from 2025, that was some kind of radical, revolutionary reset that had its seed point, its beginning point then. And so as Uranus moves into the sign of Gemini, as you begin to realize that, wow, that's going to focus things more into my creative and what's valuable and what I feel like I'm good at as a craftsman or as an entrepreneur or as a speaker or a teacher or a student or a part of a team, there's an energy that's going on around Taurus that they don't have to work so hard in order to feel self-validated. That's what's going on with that. So Gemini, the energy impetus or focus is on, justice, your voice, because the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter bouncing around before we got to this June 9th of Jupiter going into the sign of Cancer, which it will enhance you. That's the wealth part of it. It's like these bold ideas and confident expressions. And I have to say, with a lot of the Gemini connections I have, either client or friends or things that I'm bearing witness to, is that Geminis have really felt where they can become kind of like a bull when it comes to, damn it, my opinion matters too. How come don't feel that my way of seeing it is worthy? I mean, do I have something I can contribute here at the job or in my marriage or whatever it is, or in this relationship? I don't really want to fight. Taurus and Libra prefer not to, but it's like this Gemini energy is 12th house, type of energy with when you get the Taurus stuff for Gemini, it's 12th house. Now you've got the stimulus of a Sagittarius full moon, which is pulling you out of yourself and realizing that you don't always have to be the only opinion or the winning opinion, Gemini. This full moon in Sagittarius is saying, go neutral, just put the vehicle in neutral. You can keep your foot on the brake, it's in neutral, and just allow yourself. I think you Geminis right now need that pause. You need that ability to feel the pulse of what you feel is your identity and what you either want to stay quiet on or give voice to. So the new moon that comes up with that cazimi of Jupiter over June 24th, 25th, there's some interesting, I see it as electromagnetic. It's not just electrical and it's not just magnetic. There's an electromagnetic energy in 2025 to June 24th and 25th. It just feels not stimulating to where it wears you out, where it feels like, wow, this feels good. This feels good. Like, when you've got your first massage, or you put your feet in one of those apparatuses that rolls the bottom of your feet, or you go get your pedicure, that kind of a thing, or whatever. You found that great supplement and it worked for you. So with Gemini right now, you'll learn the most. I'll sum Gemini up like this because you're the priority right now, Gemini and Sag. You'll learn the most by listening to the people that matter with this full moon, and on into the 15th with that square. So if you're a Cancer, every full moon is strongest if you are strong in the sign of Cancer moonchild in your chart. So if you're born into that sign and you have a moon in Cancer, or your rising sign is Cancer. So every full moon hits the sincerity and uncertainty of someone that has a really strong Cancerian flavor or spice in their chart. So you're getting ready to step into the spotlight, center stage. The baton is being handed to you, Cancers, on June 20th. So here we are just about 10, 11 days from that at this full moon in 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's lending Jupiterian flavor as Jupiter went into your sign, which also favors you. Jupiter, the great benefactor, the six of where the entrepreneur is handing more of the cups, more of the ties, more of the favor. So it has a lot to do with the sixes and the tarot, the pentacles, the diamonds, the swords, the wands. It has to do with what makes you feel secure. 6 in numerology, the number of security, that really vibrant emerald type of green. It has to do with, like nature. When I drive my car through the forest or a thick, a hillside or something, the lushness of the waterfall. So that's what Venus and Taurus is wanting to implement around the Cancerian flavor. So there's growth and joy and spiritual favor. Yeah, that's a thing. spiritual favor, and it's perfect. It's perfect for settling into or choosing a new beginning. And then when you have the biggest damn deal, new moon lunation of 2025 on June 25th, so there's that 25 number strong for you, which adds to a 7, which has a lot to do with the 7 archangels and the 7 main chakras and the 7 main days of the week and the signs, planets, blah, blah, blah. So on June 25th, that new moon is going to hit in the sign. The sun and moon will hold hands, embrace, kiss in the energetic frequencies of the moon, Cancer the Crab. So I think you will see improving networks. You will see improving friendships. So I would say it's probably a sweet spot, even though Cancer is still going through its 12th house. It's a time to review and reset and restore and restore. If you're a Leo, the focus of this is pretty much retreat, release, and an identity rebirth. Your sign more than any until June 17th has Mars roaring through it, and there will be a Mars retrograde type of energy that is bounced around in different times of this transit of Mars when it started in Cancer and then Mars in Leo, and it's details you don't need to bother with right now. So the Mars in Leo energy until June 17th, and it's been going on in May, it's been, without even trying, you've come across as assertive. You've wanted to summon assertion, and you're action-oriented. So Mars, action in your sign. Sun, Leo, there's like a real dynamic there. So the first half of June brought a bit of volatility or truth or dare, especially the energy that really doesn't wrap up until the 12th, the night of the 12th. Started with strength on the 7th, 8th of June. And so Mars going into Virgo, the pace will slow. Practical matters, maybe even also like budgeting and prioritizing, will initiate. That will be an area that you'll have some nice emotional relief and victory, which is important for the Leo energy. So Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, now in your 12th house, if you're a Leo or Leo rising, is offering you spiritual grace, protection, and healing from former struggles, especially hidden struggles. Leos don't play their final cards until they're ready to play their final cards, because then they've decided, I either win or I lose. Either way, I won the truth and I won the dare, because I made the decision beforehand that either way was my message from Spirit, was my message from God, was my direction from Creator. And Leos will back their own selves up against the wall on that a lot of times. If you're a Virgo, the focus is on your dream weaving, your aspirations, your goals, your inner drive, and also your friend zone. So it's with Virgo, when the sun goes into Gemini, it begins a month of visibility to do with your skill sets and your talents and the direction that you want to move your ability to be a creator forward with. So it's strongly lit up every year when planets, especially the sun, is in the sign of Gemini. It lights up the top of your chart. By mid-month, Mercury, Jupiter shifting into your 11th house. The 11th house has a lot to do with how we see the results of those that are in our tribe, those that share our vision, those that we are compatible with in a mutual moving forward with whatever goals or aspirations we have at this time in our life. And sometimes that's an invitation of new friends coming in, and sometimes that's a bit of a quiet zone for people that were like, you move or they move, or they have a child and they're busy, or you go into a different relationship, you move and change residences or out of your family's home into something else, that you are off on an adventure. Not every adventure is a physical yacht, ship, or pirate vessel. And yet we're pirates under Sagittarius. Gemini is Peter Pan, and Sagittarius has to do with the pirate's quest. Captain Morgan, Captain. And we raise our leg and say a toast to the adventure, a toast to what lies ahead. I'm willing to know that not only will there be a treasure map, but it's a treasure just to be able to have the cojones to go ahead and take the adventure. So there's that energy that's taking place when Mars goes into your sign, starting that third week of June, Virgo. Boy, does that give you a direction, a vitality to your drive and your direction. Ambition surges, you're energized, you're not losing sleep anymore, you're sharp, you're quick-witted, and that new moon that comes in a water sign is not unfavorable at all for you, Virgo, and it helps you sow some different kind of seeds. Some flowers do well when we plant them in right before spring. Some do well before the heat of summer come in. So it's like you're doing a type of exploration on, okay, do I need to harvest some tomatoes and then what's coming next is cucumbers? I mean, literally, it has a lot to do with things are blooming, things are happening. Oh, there's the fruits of my labor, and oh, my labors, and now I've got to plant some new seeds. Now I've got to trim it. Now I've got to harvest it. Now I want to share it. Now I want to work with it, cook with it, refrigerate it, whatever. So we start to prioritize as we're eating around the great wheel. If you're Libra, lots of intensity going on for the signs of Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn. You're the 4 signs that are going through the most empowered, psychological, internal, mirror-to-mirror, face-to-face changes. Saturn and Neptune in Aries, your opposite polarity sign. Where is you? Where are you in the relationships you choose to be significantly intimate with? Are you lost? Are you identifying or patterning more? Do you only feel needed and validated when you're with that other? So Saturn is going to start to build your ability to have both, to believe in your own self and strengthen your own individuality and not be shamed or afraid or hindered in sharing your opinion or your beliefs or what matters to you, rather than holding that back all the time. Cancers and Libras can hold back where they stand on things. They kind of want to feel more secure in the friendship or the alliance or the intimacy, to know that, well, what if they totally disagree with my core beliefs? I mean, what about that? I don't care how they touch me eventually. Are we going to agree to disagree all the time? Because that could affect the touching. That could, affect the consciousness congruency. So you Libras are looking at what you used to value in a relationship, in a career, in a job. A lot of people may be leaving one thing, going into another. But the new moon in Cancer on June 25th is the new door opening from this full moon in Sagittarius. So this is a lot about trusting the process of your authentic ambition and being open to having, like, you Libras have like a kind of a way ahead futuristic perspective on things, and then you kind of talk yourself out of it, or you want to do a wait and see. I feel like that this full moon, you might want to make a little, in your dream journals or notepads, little composition books. I think it would be worth it to write down some of the things that just keep flowing back and forth in your mind, like this halo spinning. It's like, here I am again. I'm that thought again. Here's this little creative surge coming around again. Just make a note of it. Maybe you'll dream something. Just, you can even write with your eyes closed if that notepad's by your bed and your dreams start speaking, which I think they will. I believe that it's going to be, actually, Libra could have the loudest messages in their dreams with the stimulus of this full moon. If you're Scorpio, your focus is on a different kind of transformation, because if Sagittarius is the full moon, and that's Scorpio's second subdivision or star closet, star room, sun room, then what we have with the Gemini for Scorpio is hitting the 8th house. What it does, people sometimes get a little too locked on the 8th house is going to be a death of something. Better word might be transition, transformation, because death stirs up all kinds of primal patterns for people. But it has a lot to do with the shaman, the priest, the rabbi, the way shower, the dream, the vision, the ability to go, whoa, I had a feeling this was going to happen. And if you start to get that, Scorpio, it's worth paying attention to it. What we value is what we pay attention to, even if it costs us money or not. What we pay attention to, what we put our eyes into, our ears involved with, what we prioritize and invest in ourselves, where we invest in ourselves to allow the value or the loss factor to get exposed. Sometimes we just got to take that risk. We got to speculate. So it's a speculation cycle for Scorpios. Sagittarius will reveal the truth. It's not unhappy with the energy of Scorpio. Mars is very happy when it goes into Virgo to Scorpio over the 17th. So a few more days of that Mars in those latter degrees of Leo before it shifts into Virgo on the 17th of this month. And so it's sensual and it's pensive. And I get this intuitive vision of Scorpios just watching. The way ravens and crows, or maybe a hawk, gets up on that power line or that telephone pole and just watches, or the roof of that building, and the red-tailed hawk just watches. It's taking it all in. Yep, prey will run by, and oh, there's something else I could get. But it's watching and it's assessing at what cost, at what price. Is it going to throw me into fight, flight, or fawn postures? Am I willing, Sagittarius, it's your moon, it's your strongest moon of the whole year. Am I willing to be allowing and forthright into what I'm being shown about myself? And am I okay with it? How am I doing with it? So this moon is giving rise to the dreams, the visions. I think Sagittarius is one of probably the top 2 signs, whenever it's strong in a chart, that no matter what kind of family or work environment or school environment they have, they value people that get to them. They value the people that their whole inner self says, I want to be around that person. I like the way that person's example is. I feel safe around that person. So it's Jupiter going into Cancer, Sagittarius, and saying, I'm safe here. I'm safe here. I'm a crab. I'm at the ocean. I'm in my shelter. I have defense mechanisms. I have claws. I have movement. I don't have to just go forward or backwards. If I run, I can go sideways. I can see things from a different perspective than most creatures of land. But Cancer's also dreams in psychic upgrades and where our feelings, even though we can be subjective, Cancer is like, well, I really hope this happens. Damn it, I want this to happen. I want that to work out. I want this to work out. Of course you do. But then there's also that feeling of when your guides say, this might be a better way to get there. Would you consider this? Could you consider this? So the Sagittarius is, again, options that are orbiting. I would say it's strongest for Sagittarius and it's strongest for Cancer. But I like it, and I like that you have another impact of it as you get the new moon in sign of Cancer, because the 7th house for Sagittarius is Gemini, where the sun is right now, and then that psychic factor, that otherworldly knowing, that heaven to earth happens at the next new moon, at the 3rd week of June for you, Sagittarius. So I think this is I don't think this is a thirsty lunar cycle for you. I think it's a benevolent new moon in Gemini toward this full moon in Sagittarius. And I believe that it's a really good time to set your intentions around the value of what you trust and kind of cut your losses, get rid of the debits of doubt. I would do that. And I would look at the blessings of teamwork or shared resources. We have a shared resource when someone works with us. If we go to work somewhere or we go to work with someone, that's a shared resource. We're investing time or commitment, and we're getting paid sometimes in financial currency, other times in ways that we pay for something with our financial currency. And then we receive knowledge and teaching that then we can pass on as well as work with ourselves. So I think this Sagittarius energy is swirling long after this full moon. If you're Capricorn, work, partnerships, health, Jupiter's going into Cancer, it's your partnership sign. It's what you want intimately. It's what you find delicious emotionally. It's what stimulates you psychologically and intimately. And it could be you're cooking together, Capricorn, with someone that you're simply just taking in every single moment of children laughing and playing at a playground or in a swimming pool or at one of these adventure things that you're absolutely excited, and you feel your heart and your soul move that you're able in your life to make time for that, to finance that for the grandkids or the kids, and just let like your work and your efforts and your spending money for those nieces or nephews or kids and their best friend going to the water park or going on a trip. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to the mountains. Yay, I don't have to work for a week. I'm taking time off, whatever. Versus the people that are caregivers and nurturers and doulas. out there right now. So the Capricorns are the goats, are the greatest of all time as far as being able, once they make a commitment, they're going to be there. So if they're your caregiver, if somebody's got strong Capricorn in their chart, they're the goat. That's their symbol, the goat with the dolphin's tail. So Jupiter moving into your house of intimate, significant alliances, associations, what you can rely on. Where I think for Capricorn, it's more to be, there's a chapter in our lives where I'm going to need to ask, or I'm going to need to rely on you, Capricorn. And you know, of all the people I know, I just trust you. You have such strong ethic. You don't bullshit. What it is what it is. And if I'm going to be in a vulnerable post-surgery thing, if I'm going to be in an area that I don't feel like I've got my boots on the ground firmly, it's all new to me, to know that I have the physical therapist, the trusted friend, the partner, whatever it is. You would be the one when I go into kind of like a rut-row moment, a scary clown moment in my life. Capricorn might be moving in to have that kind of partnership or that kind of support system. So they're looking at their routines. They're looking at what responsibilities that they're really glad. Capricorn actually gets excited when they can have the responsibility of orchestrating an important social event or an important fundraising cause. I mean, they do well as CEOs. You know, goats are always hopping on things that are higher than them. So it has a lot to do. If you ever see goats out, they'll jump on tires, they'll jump on cars, which aggravates a lot of owners. So goats like to jump. They have this bong, bong, bong type of pogo stick type of energy, except you got 4 hoofs. But they have that, I want to see what's over there. I need to have a higher view. How do I know what's behind that tree? So they're curious in that sense. And Gemini is definitely an energy that further enhances any kind of curiosity that leads us to more wisdom. So with Mars in Virgo, I believe then, once you get to the latter part of June and the beginning part, you know, right after that new moon in your 7th house, I think that you've got the late June, part of July, August for you to have the chutzpah to want to take a trip, pursue travel, bucket list, something that has to do with further education. If you're Aquarius, it's discipline, it's regenerative romance. Is this still alive? Can it be brought back to life? We all go through cycles of endings and beginnings, even though we choose togetherness. Can I reach this person? Maybe I just need to be quiet and support this person. Maybe they feel needed by being heard. So Mars is in Leo, and if you're an Aquarius, that's your opposite sign. So you have creative spark and joy thanks to the Gemini stuff, and that lights up your 5th house of magnanimous creativity. You too are very charming. Aquarius, you're very charming. But people make a mistake when they assume that a very enthusiastic mental sign like Aquarius, a very visionary, far-reaching type of scientist, inventor, goal setter, I say why not instead of why. Aquarius, this is a moon that stimulates your ability not to be held back by mundane conversations or just politics or just the news or just what smartphone is better. Aquarius is rather lofty right now. They want to be thinking about the bigger blessings and meanings of life. It has a lot to do with your shifting on, is this workplace, this ideal, this goal, is it taking too much of my energy? Again, one of the Gemini Sagittarius core themes is, at what cost? At what price? Is it an investment of my harmony and my curiosity and is it lively for me? Is it draining me? At what cost? At what price? If it's a bargain, great, pursue it. But if you've done it and each time you're exhausted and you're not seeing the resources psychologically, mentally, personally, then at least shift your beliefs to be able to try another way of getting answers. You know, always not just to be right, but to actually get the needed answers so you don't have the problem come up again ad nauseum. So if you're allowing that, then your perspectives, it's okay, Aquarius, your perspectives can go all over the place. So and I think Venus in Taurus will anchor you in your RV, at the campground, in your car, at your home. I mean, it's wanting you to smell the roses, as they say. whatever's giving you a sense of, like the songbird outside the window. It's like when the birds found the food, when it's about to be sunset. So you're got like a songbird type of energy. Aquarius with Pluto and Aquarius going, I'm just going to tell you, it's all going to change. And Mars and Leo going, hi, I'm here to kind of get that surge of that tidal wave going in your life. Nothing remains the same. I think there was a Led Zeppelin song like that. The song remains the same, something like that. If you're Pisces, last but certainly never least, it's heart creativity, the heart chakra, Mars and Leo, the creativity, the laughter that you get from your offspring, your pets, the lifting of the heart when you rescue an animal and the baby bird flies back up into the tree. The hawk didn't get it. You adopted the dog at the shelter. You fostered your time in the cats. You do your part to donate this or tithe your time. And just if you can't own an animal where you live, to be able just to get around them. And so it's like when people go to SeaWorld versus when people go to a zoo, or people will go and get the breed of dog or the breed of cat they've always wanted to have. Yes, it's going to cost me money to get a purebred Siamese or a purebred, pit bull, but that's what I want. So it's got to do with where's the heart wanting to go versus someone that says, I just want to go save a dog and I'm going to go to the shelter and see which one speaks to me and I'm going to bring home that dog or that cat because it needs a break and I feel fortunate and I want to be a part of being that wisdom teacher and that soft hug of earth life for that for whatever the creature what got them there. Just being born. Sometimes the crime is just the puppies were born, the person just can't do it, or the kittens, they just can't do it. So they need help. So they need shelter from the storm. So Pisces right now have shelter from the storm, although Pisces, you're going to hear it more than once by a plethora of astrologers and wizards, that when the North Node is in your sign, it's a karmic reckoning. And your timeline cycle was 18.5 to 19 years ago. And you've got some eclipses that are coming in September that got ignited in March of this year. So there's the Pisces Virgo dance that's going on with you. And so there will be issues with your partners, your main, in your neighborhood, at your condo, in your marriage, whatever your allegiance is, your priority. If you've got a significant other and you've pledged oneness and loyalty to each other, there's going to be issues to where you're going to probably hear in sickness or in health. So you might be the caregiver, you might be the one that needs to have care given to you, but it's a dynamic type of energy for that. And when Mars goes into your opposite sign, Pisces, when it goes into Virgo, on the June 17th, depending on where you live in the world, you'll come through it with some incredible inspiration if you realize that as Mars goes through our opposite sign, and for Pisces, it's that when Mars goes into Virgo on the 17th of June, it's about the other people in your life, not you. It's not your time to have a spotlight on you. It's your time that Spirit will be giving you signs, omens, and wonders to behold through other people that you're interacting with in this life walk. So it's the other. It's the people that are bringing the lesson, bringing the solution, that you're contacting. I need to fix this on my roof. I need to go get dog food today for that. Like you're a caregiver, you're a nurturer, you're all over the place. But it's a stimulus in the fact of where you feel that your life is worthy, what's worth it, and what's simply gotten to be too much or exhausting. Jupiter in Cancer will help you. You may find that one of your most satisfying roles is the mother figure or the grandmother or the aunt that mattered, the one that will say, I got you. You might try a different way. You're a little too, where a parent might be stern, that aunt or that best friend's mom, that female figure that can be an iconic teacher for you, the counselor, the therapist, the Reiki master, the herbalist, whatever can be the person that says, do you believe in you yet? Because I can see where you've got an energy to do this, whether it's a clairvoyant or a counselor asking you key questions. They're all just wanting to help you see that there are some doors that you can open to move forward with any challenge or any blessing or any potentiality if you'll just believe and trust in yourself, that you're aligning your heart, Mars and Leo, and your mind is one. Like you're checking in with both aspects of yourself, as Nicole said earlier, the somatic, the emotional heart versus the mind's heart, and then the soul being able to say, oh, let me sit you both down, your head and your heart, sit down. Now let me hear your best case scenario head, and let me see why you want to do it the way you want to do it, heart. Okay, now let's meet a compromise. That's how this blooms out until we get to the next new moon. Where do we feel that we've compromised too much, too long, versus where I feel I'm my best self. I like myself best when I can give that way or over there. I like giving that out, and I like it when people give that kind of energy to me. It's that dance. It's the dance of chance, of where you feel like you are your holiest self. You believe in yourself when you give to this or that. And then there's the part of us that has to also be able to be as comfortable, because that's coming up at the new moon on June 25th, because this is June. That's coming up. And are you still fighting, believing that you're worth giving to also? What's your downtime? What's your soft moment? What's your ability to really spend time with that pet you rescued, that grandchild, the neighbor that makes you laugh all the time, the hurting friend that wishes they didn't ask for anything because they've been so independent, and then they have to do it, and you don't want them to feel shamed or guilty about it, kind of thing. Yeah, there's all that. So we're moving from Peter Pan, Gemini, flying and going into, it was called Never Never Land, because he was so afraid he didn't want to become an adult. He wanted to stay a child forever. So Gemini and Leo have been dancing partners. And Leo's the inner child, it's the 5th house, and Gemini is the curiosity and just the spontaneity of a child, the 3rd house. That's the sign. Gemini is the 3rd sign, and then you move on down into Leo, being the dynamic of the inner child, the 5th vibration. So it has to do with our inner child. And right now, a lot of people I'm talking to, they're saying, I don't want to unload that right now. I don't want to do that project right now. I can do that later. Why do I think I've got to unload the groceries in the hot part of the day? I'm not going to do it. Just the cold stuff. I'll come back and get the other stuff later. That teenager, that part that's going, no, I don't want to, or I will not yet. Or, as people will say, give me a moment, give me a chance. Why do I have to do it your way all the time? That's that kind of Aries, Leo, fighting back type of energy. And I feel like this moon, the Sagittarian energy is like, well, the truth just is. The truth just is. So go into your heart, answer to yourself first. What matters most? What has the most importance to me? Where do I feel at home with myself and my heart? And maybe my mind and my willpower has to get in line and make some adjustments. Sometimes it'll be some minor sacrifices or major allowances, but I got to get out of my own way. So that's what Gemini Sag says to us. Where might you, without judging yourself, where might you have been or could be in your own way? And could you just considering curiosity and consideration are a real Gemini thing? Could you just allow yourself to let the prompt or the stimulus happen, that there's a whole bunch of you, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can participate, act out, release, and allow? That Gemini is saying, I think you got more than one choice of personality, one choice of behavior. Yeah. So we don't have to have those stern consequences that smack us into our reality by a wake-up call. We can have those ever energizing epiphanies to where to go, damn, this is nice. Yeah, I wish I could learn everything like this. This is rich. And so we go back to the Taurus thing. What has value? What has value? Venus is in Taurus. What is your escape valve? What is your secret garden? Where is it that you get in nature and say, oh, I'm always so happy right here, right now? Sunrise, sunset, full moon, starlight, the wind, the soft rain. What is it? What is it? Hiking? What is it? Because right now, for the next month, I think it's till July 4th, Venus in Taurus is saying, take a moment and realize the place you really call home right now, that your physical body's at, is Mother Earth. Yeah, it's Mother Earth. So find some earthing, find some grounding. That's going to be the antenna, the mount for the satellite dish, the rod and thy staff that comfort me, where we feel secure, where we feel safely anchored, is the best part of a Cancer type of energy. And the the Jupiter energy in Cancer. It's like, you want to do this the hard way or the easy way? Right now, it could be the easy way. And that can have a lot to do with the nature point, the getting off work. What you're going to do off work? Is it water? Is it earth? Is it sleep? Is it, that you get a day in the woods, or you get to go to the seminar, whatever it is? What's the conductor of the symphony of your soul? What do you let them be the director or the conductor? That's how I see this.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Mary, for taking everyone
Thank
through
you.
all the
Thank you.
signs and all that. And of course, if you guys want to listen to Mary broadcast the new moon, she does so on Lighting the Void with Joe Roop, live on his Lighting the Void podcast and radio show. And this new moon in Cancer is going to be rather big with Jupiter being conjuncted, but it's going to be a really nice start for Jupiter being in Cancer and starting off with that new moon in Cancer. Like it's going to be an interesting new moon.
I think it's going to be a fun focus for our next talk, before we talk about that full moon in Capricorn. I think that, if everybody could get a little bit of a preview or an advanced start, go to your chart and look at the house where your moon is, look at where you have the houses of the axis of Cancer Capricorn, because the most benevolent celestial governor, Jupiter, has gone into the sign of Cancer. This will be the open hand, this will be the tithe, this will be the blessing way, and the option and the best road taken. So, and it of course emphasizes four main signs, the cardinal signs. But if we'll just let that be your homework. Just find what part of your own personal Earth birth star chart is where you have the house of Cancer. Jupiter is shifted into that water sign, and so it has everything to do with what that house represents, whether it's Jupiter in the 5th or the 8th or the 11th. That's where the automatic slot machine goes, yay, you win another ticket, or yay, you won a nice moderate amount. So it has a lot to do with the gamble that pays off, the risk that brought reward. Yeah, the risk that brings reward. I think that's Jupiter in Cancer. That just came through psychic. The risk that offers the reward. Yep, that's where it is. That's where the Cancerian part of your chart.
Well, I love it. Well, remember what your somatic truth is, where you have emotional congruence for this full moon. That's going to be very important. Don't try to prove anything. Don't try to push and overwork. Like, that's not what this full moon is about. It's really setting you free. And a lot with this Jupiter in Cancer energy now, you will see a lot of inner child stuff come up. You will see ancestral things come up. This is where you're going to learn and grow and expand. And, Jupiter in Cancer is definitely blessing us. As Mary said, there's definitely blessings now for the next year, all of us, while Jupiter's in Cancer. It's going to be a little lighter than it was Jupiter in Gemini. But Mary, thank you so much for coming on the show again, for giving us the lowdown on this full moon in Sagittarius. If any of you guys would like to book a session with Mary, you can do so over at her website, marydusina.com. I'm leaving her booking details down below, so you can click on the link to reach out to her. And of course, if you're interested in coming to the new 3-day 180 retreat, we have chosen a new location, very upgraded, just outside of Vail, Colorado, and we are hosting the next one this September, the 25th to the 28th. Tickets are already selling. Several of you who've attended are planning on coming to the next one. So this is going to be kind of a little reunion in many ways. If you're new and you'd like to come, it's a perfect opportunity to change the biggest thing in your life that you'd like to in 3 days, meet your future self, have a no going back kind of timeline activated. And Consuelo and I will be doing our very best to make sure that you get further and deeper than you've ever done before when it comes to your own spiritual growth, your own healing path, and getting that transformation that you want showing up in your life right now in all the ways that really matter to you. So the link for that is in the description below. Mary, so good to have you back and have you on the show. I guess we'll be seeing you for that full moon in Capricorn next month.
Yeah, I think around the 9th or 10th, and it's an honor. It's an honor for us to light seekers share energy, and it's an honor. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, audience, to be able to share our life forces as we hear this. Anytime you back it up, anytime you push it forward, anytime you just allow yourself to bloom with any kind of heartfelt soul star seeds that Nicole and I want to bring to you in a concert of our soul congruency together. So thank you for the honor of it. It's an honor. It's a blessing. And I love the media. I love the airwaves. I love everything to do with how the words loft into the air and what captures our attention to go, whoa, wait, what was that? I got a tingle on that, or that's a glory moment. Joe and I often do the glory, on his show. So these are shafts of light that have a specific way, whether it's grace or glory or the ever creative pause. So thank you. Thank you again, all of you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to the audience. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week. I have a very interesting podcast for you guys. We're going to be going into the Egyptian pyramids. We're going to be going to sound healing, DNA activations, and a whole bunch of other stuff with my guests next week. So make sure to tune into that. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.